Yeah, I mean, I'm always nervous before every single race. Every single time, like I said, I do my routine. I get the music going, those two songs every single time before the race. And it's like the craziest feeling ever when you get in the starting blocks. The guy says set, my hands go completely numb every single race,
Wow.
tingling, everywhere. And then it just, you just kind of black out almost. And then the race is over in a sense.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special episode of Zeeb's HQ. This is a brand new segment that Max and I will be bringing to everyone every single month. For those of you who don't know, Max, he is my recorder, the producer of the show. He edits and films everything for all of our episodes. Lifelong best friend of mine. First friend I ever met in my entire life. So this is a segment that Max and I will be doing.
You didn't need another one.
Huh? Our very first local athlete of the month is Brady Garrett. Brady Garrett was a 2010 Altoona area high school graduate where he competed in track and field and then went on to get a full ride at Penn State where he ran track there as well. Some of Brady's accomplishments include he was the 200 and 400 meter state championship in 2010, his senior year in high school. He was also the 400 meter national champion in high school in 2010. He was ranked the number one 400 meter runner in the whole entire country in high school his senior year. He got a full ride scholarship to Penn State University where he competed in indoor and outdoor track. He was the Big Ten champion in the 400 meter race in outdoor in 2012. He's a six-time All-American at Penn State, and he also competed in the Olympic trial finals in June of 2012 in Oregon. So he had an amazing career in high school and college, and we're really excited to be able to get some time today to sit down with Brady and highlight all of his career and hear amazing stories about it and share it with all of you guys. So let's hope you enjoy this. All right, everybody, we're welcomed by our very first guest, the February local athlete of the month, Brady Garrett. Brady, thanks for joining us.
Welcome, Brady.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Basically, we'll just jump right into the interview here. Tell us about the beginning of your career. When did you start track and field? What was the first time you ever did it?
I mean, besides growing up watching like all my siblings do it, I watched them at Roosevelt and Altoona. The first experience was elementary school track and field day at Mansion. So that was sixth grade, I think it was. Yeah. But that was like the first time, running in a real race against people and jumping and stuff like that. So that was the first actual, I guess, meet that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Was it your big event was the 400? Is that right?
Yeah, that was later in high school. That's what I was doing there. I mean, growing up though, I didn't do much of the running. It was just like strictly jumps.
Oh, so you started jumping. Well, yeah. Did you do other sports before track? And what other events led you to start running?
Yeah, I mean, I played pretty much everything growing up. So I played, basketball, football, baseball, and then track, in junior high. And then slowly I just eliminated a sport. I guess every year. So I think I stopped playing football after seventh grade year, baseball, same thing. So then it was just basketball and track the whole time. But junior high, when I ran, I was strictly a jumper. I did the three jumps, long jump, triple jump, and high jump. And then I would run a little bit like on the relays, the 4x1 and everything like that. But I wasn't I was fast, but I don't know if you guys remember Verrett Gaston. He was dude, he was insane. He was one of the fastest dudes ever, in junior high. He was breaking like AJ's records and stuff like that. So he was the guy back then, and I was the jumper.
That's crazy. I didn't even really realize that you didn't start really running until high school. And I also forgot you did basketball as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, basketball is my favorite. It's still to this day my favorite sport. I still play in the summer and everything like that. But so basketball was a lot of fun in junior high. So I jumped in junior high, and then towards the end of my ninth grade, they just threw me in hurdles for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I won that. And then I think I won districts in 9th grade for that. And then as soon as 10th grade year hit, I went out and I thought I was going to jump just like normal. And then Coach Adams just looked at me and said, nope, you're going to run the 400 now. And
wow.
that was that.
So, wow. So you didn't even start the 400 till about 10th grade.
That was the first time I ran it. Yeah.
Wow. In the 200 as well?
Yeah, I probably did it in junior high. I definitely did, but not serious.
And you didn't do any of the relays in junior high either?
Just the 4x1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true. I never knew that. That's pretty cool. What were some of your training routines during high school?
Well, I mean, again, going into high school, I had no idea what to expect, but Coach Adams is like an awesome coach and knows exactly what he's doing. So that was the first time I started lifting for the, because I'm still a twig, but I was even more of a twig back then in high school. I was like 5'8", like 110. So I don't know, but it was, I was really small. So I started lifting for the first time, and then, we actually did real workouts, and it's all about like building progression throughout the entire year and, peaking at the end of the season. So he was really, really good about building a whole program, throughout an entire year and, like I said, peaking at the end.
That's awesome. Did you have any, like days of track meets, did you have any lucky socks that you wore, or any like a certain song that you had to listen to before a race, like that got you in the zone?
I did in college, like nothing like that in high school or anything like that. But in college, I had 2 songs that I would listen to before every single big race.
Can we get them so we can run as fast?
What's that?
Can we get those songs so we could be motivated to run as fast?
Yeah, I mean, that's all it takes is just listening to these 2 songs. It was Rich Forever it's John Legend and Rick Ross, and then Run This Town Tonight. I don't know why. Those 2 just got me in the zone, and those are the 2 that I had to listen to before every race.
That's awesome. Anytime I run at Mansion now for the rest of my life, I'm listening to those 2 songs on repeat.
Turn them on. Instantly, it's 10 seconds faster, whatever you're doing. I promise you.
All right. You heard it here, folks. If you want to run faster, listen to those 2 songs.
Yep.
That's the secret.
This is going back to when you started hurdling and you won the event. When did you know that you were fast, or you were really you were passing other people quite literally?
Yeah, I mean, I was always fast, like in elementary school and stuff like that. And then getting into junior high, I still was, but again, it was just like if you weren't the best, then it kind of didn't matter. So again, Varick was insane. I can't like stress that enough how good of an athlete he was, but he was by far faster than everybody. So it just, like I said, I was doing my own thing, jumping and, doing that stuff. And then, nobody really did hurdles. And then they just threw me in because we needed points at districts, and that's what ended up happening there. I did it one time. The first time I did it I remember it was at the State College Invite. I fell over the last hurdle because I've never done it before. And I, got up and finished it. And then the next time I ran it was at districts. So.
Wow.
Were you, for the most part, finishing first then from there on out in running events, or did you have to train and get better? Was there that big
sure
gap?
Yeah, I mean, it's like even in 10th grade, right? Like that was the first time I started running the 400. I was okay. There was like Aaron Nadolski was faster than me. Mike Treese was faster than me. I forget who our 4th was. I think Chris Carper was still our 4th even when I was in 10th grade too. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't even, I wasn't the best on the team or anything like that. And then, I think I remember I ran it was a split on the relay. It was like 50 points something. That was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
That was like what kind of started it. But really, and it's funny going back and looking at this. So do you guys remember Alex Kenny, the football player at State College?
Yes. Yeah.
So also very fast in high school. So It was him and Aaron, always faster than me, Nadolski. Never beat them. Then after 10th grade year, I stopped playing basketball, and I trained for the first time through the fall for track. I think I grew 4.5 inches, 5 inches, something like that, hit my growth. So that kind of changed some things.
Longer legs.
Absolutely. So the first race of my 11th grade year was indoor track at Penn State, and I ran a 200 against Aaron and Alex Kenny, and I smoked them. And we all just stopped at the end and looked at each other like, what the hell just happened? Because I didn't even know. I mean, none of us knew, what what really went down, because
Yeah.
I'm not great at practice. Like my endurance sucks. So Aaron always killed me in practice and like workouts. But then when it came down to the race, that was like the first time we all just like, oh, well, guess things are a little bit different this year. And
Yeah.
that's when it kind of started happening.
That's awesome. And to give everyone a perspective, Alex Kenny, he got like a full ride football scholarship for Penn State. He was really, really fast in the 100 and 200 as well.
Right.
Your 10th grade year, did you run in states in the 200 or 400 at all, or just the relay?
Just the relay. Yeah. Just the 4x1 and the 4x4. And then I did long jump, but.
Yeah. And then your 11th grade year, is that the first year you made states for the 200 and 400?
I made it for them, but I didn't run them because, again, it was all about we wanted to win states. So
and that's the year you guys won.
Well, no, actually, we won my 10th grade year.
Okay.
And then we lost by like a half a point, I think, our 11th grade year. But 11th grade, I did the 2 relays, and we won both of those. And then I did the long jump, and I did do the 200. I did run the 200 11th grade.
And then your senior year is when you won the 200 and the 400 state championship. And also you guys won the 4x4, right? Or
no, we weren't very good. No, okay. we everybody left, so it was just we weren't that good at them 4x4 at the end. No.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just the 200, the 400, and then I got second every year in long jump to the guy who was number 1 in the nation. So it was, I mean, I knew that going in, I wasn't going to beat him unless he like really messed up.
Yeah.
So he jumped like
second
25
though
feet.
behind him. That's pretty good.
So that, and then the 4x4, I did that my senior year too, but we weren't that good.
Yeah. And what would you say your favorite memory was during high school track?
So this is like my favorite story ever. So in high school, it was after, this was my senior year. I got invited to a meet in, it's called the Armory. It's in New York, and it's like a huge, it's a college meet with like some pros there, and then they do a high school showcase as well. So I got invited there to run the 300 meters, which is like an odd race, right? So it's a good in between for a 200 and a 400. So we get there, we have there's 2 heats of people, like 6 in each heat. Whoever wins, right? So we get there, and then all of a sudden they change up everything. They change all of our lanes, stuff like that. We go up, and, me and Coach Adams are going up there, and we have no idea what's going on, asking the director, like, why did you do this, whatever. And he looked us dead in the face and said, he was so angry. He was like, you guys are so lucky that we even invited you here. You need to shut up and walk away. We're just like, oh, okay, man. That's don't know what happened there or what. Because at that point I wasn't like proven yet. It was just I only did relays. So I was just kind of like the guy who mixed it in. And so I mean, we kind of took that a little personal there. It was not happy to hear that. And then the next day is when we ran it, and I ended up I won the thing. So like the 4 top guys in the 200, and then the 2 top runners in the 400 in the country, and I beat them all in the 300. So obviously, myself and Mike Adams, felt great about it. We walked right up to the guy, shook his hand, thanked him for inviting us, and just walked away. The dude's look was priceless.
Wow.
My favorite in high school. That was my favorite memory by far.
That's an incredible story. That the whole thing, like running a 300, there's only 300-meter hurdles. You never really hear of a 300-meter race. And yeah, like you said, you were just doing relays then, and then for him to say, oh, you're lucky we invited you, and then just the greatest thing you could have ever done was just go then and just win. That's
it was awesome. It was a great FU moment for sure. It felt great.
That's amazing.
Brady, was there a lot of competitive moments with other schools or people personally that would push you? What's the track culture like for people that don't know it as well?
Yeah, it's not a very, high level sport, I guess, or like, well known in a sense, but high school track there's a lot of shit talking, and like everything in high school was like posting on forums and dumb stuff like that.
Wow.
I know, so stupid. We would always just be lurking and seeing what people were saying, and then, we'd see them at the meets, and then we'd talk to them in person, and just, that's like my favorite part of it, is talking trash and then obviously backing it up afterwards. again, it's track, so you can take it how it is, but it's pretty much either you win or you lose. You're either faster than somebody or not. So it's pretty straightforward. I don't know how you can try to talk trash when you're just not faster than somebody. So
Yeah. And growing up, that was one of the things, like, when you're like little people, you'd argue with your friends, well, I bet you I could beat you in a race. Like, you can't beat me in a race. Like, that's just like such a prideful, I think, like, guy thing growing up, that like you never wanted someone to be like, oh, I can beat you in a race. You know what I mean? It was just
right.
guys took pride in that, like wanting to beat people in a race. So just being really fast at track, I feel like was just like such like you just such a great feeling to have, just like, hey, you might never expect it, but I'm the fastest dude here, and I'm gonna prove all you guys tomorrow. Like,
Right.
that's
Do you
awesome.
remember? I know we're going off topic here. I know you remember this at the beach trip.
Yep, that's one of my favorite stories of all time.
You can go ahead and tell it. I'm not going to go
That's
into
when we were on we were at Ocean City at senior week, and we were on the boardwalk, and we just decided that we were just gonna bet someone $100 to race against Brady up and down the street. And we were like, hey, let's just make some extra money this week. So we'll just have Brady race everybody. Because Brady's
seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, you're like what, 6'2", 180 pounds, just skinny white kid. No, I mean, no one would really think that he's the fastest kid in America at that time. So we're like, hey, we'll race whoever. So we're just going up to all these random people. We're like, hey, we'll have you race them. We go up to this one group. We're like, hey, like, race our buddy here, $100. And there's about this 6'6" dude named Mario. He goes,
want to throw hands instead?
Yeah, he's like, I won't race him, but I'll fight him. He's like, we can throw hands. It almost turned into about a 30-on-30 brawl in the middle of the boardwalk, just trying to get some extra money for Brady to beat people in a race, and he almost ended up in a boxing match instead.
I love that there's so many like
I don't think I would have won that fight either. So
no.
There's so many live performances on the boardwalk that racing a guy is like not that far out of the question.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to make some extra money.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
So you are finishing high school. You got a full ride from Penn State. Is that correct?
Yep.
What was the recruiting process like? Why'd you choose Penn State?
It was cool. I mean, it was a really good experience. I had coaches coming to my house, for a good 2 months there. Just like every weekend, somebody would come from a different school. Where I went to Arizona State for a visit. I went to Nebraska for an official visit, and then I went to Baylor, and then also Penn State too.
Wow.
But it was cool. I mean, you got to go out there. You stayed there for pretty much a weekend. Just kind of follow around athletes, see how their life is, and meet all the coaches, and go through the whole schmoozing process of trying to get you to come there and stuff like that. So
was
getting
schmoozed fun? Like, what are you looking for? Or do you have anything that you're really like looking for? Or it's just like, this is going to be a great experience. I'll figure it out at the end if I like.
Yeah, nothing. I was just trying to have fun. Like, I didn't care that much at the time. I mean, so my whole goal was I wanted to go to Florida. That was like my number one school, the entire time. And then, so we're talking back and forth the entire time. They ended up choosing another athlete, and they gave him, the spot, and that was kind of that. So it was a little disappointing, but so that's when I kind of opened it back up and took those visits, and I just decided to go to Penn State. Everywhere else I went was just kind of, they're in rebuilding stages or their coach just left. The only one I guess I probably should have went to would be Baylor, because they're just, they're known for their 400-meter runners. That's where Michael Johnson went. That's where Jeremy Warner went. Their coach is still there. So that's who would have coached me as well.
I didn't even know that.
But again, their team. Yeah, I mean, everything down there is like the Michael Johnson Performance Center. Everything is, by him. So, but their team wasn't good. So I didn't really want to go down, and just be by myself there, I guess. Right. So I ended up going to Penn State. I knew Aaron Nadolski went there. So that was my old high school teammate. And then the whole goal was to kind of build a team there with people who I ran against in, high school states, and got them to come as well. And that is what, that's what ended up happening. And that's how we became kind of what we were at Penn State.
That's awesome. If it wasn't so, your second choice would have been Baylor then.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was
And
between them
again,
and
just
Penn State.
because, just the
Yeah.
coaches. Yep.
What was
Yeah, it was like, I mean, it's like every recruiting thing story you hear. It's like you eliminate each one, and then it's down to whatever, and you just got to make a decision.
What was the coolest campus like you visited outside of maybe Penn State?
Arizona State was the most fun I've ever had in a long time. So I mean,
that'd be awesome.
Everything is brand new out there. It's right in Phoenix. Like it's the whole campus. It's the biggest. It's one of the largest campuses in the country. Like I said, everything is just brand new. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've heard so many great stories about Arizona. I've never been out there, but everyone that goes there just loves it. And I've heard awesome things about Arizona State University too. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I think I went there. I took a visit. It was like the end of October. It was still like 118 degrees.
Wow.
It was like all dry heat, but it's still, I don't know if I could handle that all year. So, and that wasn't even in like the hottest part of the year. So
that's crazy. So I believe it was your sophomore year, the spring of 2012. You became the Big Ten champion in the 400-meter dash, correct?
Yeah. That's where I won the 400, and then I got second in the 200.
Okay. Just tell us about winning the Big Ten title. Like, how nervous were you after you won? How did you feel? Just everything like about leading up to that race and after.
Well, I would say, I mean, so like going into college just in general, I mean, it was like a world of a difference, right? So in high school, I'm winning, every race. I'm not even worried about it. I go into college my freshman year, I didn't win one single race the entire year. So it's just not even comparable because you're going against, the top of the top at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really a big learning curve, I guess, in, my freshman year. Going into my sophomore year, I was healthier. I didn't get hurt as much, I guess. So, I mean, we had success with indoor track before that. So it goes indoor season, and then it goes outdoor season.
Okay.
So the indoor season was really good. We got second in nationals in the 4x4 relay, and it was like an awesome race. I passed two people out of the four, and then lost the last guy. I almost caught him. It was like, a step behind him. So that was the first time we've ever been anywhere near that, at Penn State. So that was when, we were kind of building momentum into outdoor season. And like I said, I was healthy for the first time throughout the entire season and, just building slowly for the Big Ten championship and then going into nationals. But yeah, I mean, I'm always nervous before every single race. Every single time, like I said, I do my routine. I get the music going, those two songs every single time before the race. And it's like the craziest feeling ever when you get in the starting blocks, the guy says set, my hands go completely numb every single race.
Wow.
Tingling, everywhere. And then it just, you just kind of black out almost. And then the race is over in a sense. But yeah, I mean, winning Big Ten was awesome. It was, again, the first time they had a 400-meter Big Ten champion, I don't know, like 40 years.
Out of Penn State?
Yeah.
Wow.
But
wow.
It was funny because that was super short-lived. And that was, I had my PR. That was my best run ever, actually, I think to this day, was that race. And then because of the way they had the meet scheduled, I had to run the 200-meter finals like 20 minutes later. And that was, I mean, I wasn't even close to being recovered. It was a terrible,
I couldn't imagine too, like you said, I mean, like with your freshman year, you were just losing all the time. And then sophomore year, you started picking up. And then, you just won. I mean, you could probably agree. This was probably the biggest win and race of your life thus far, winning the 400-meter Big Ten championship. I mean,
for sure.
First Penn State runner to do that in 40 years. So, with how probably excited and everything you were, 20 minutes later to go run another race for a championship, I don't see how it would have been possible to be like fully ready and even focused for that.
Yeah, I definitely was. I mean, it's more so if anybody, knew how bad you feel after you run a 400, it's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
So I was laying down the entire time right after the race, just trying to get any feeling back in my legs.
Yeah.
And then, they picked me up and say, hey, you got to run another race here. I just tried to gather myself, and I actually went and ran my best 200 time right after that too, and got second. So
That's
it was
crazy.
that was an awesome meet. It was a really good feeling. So
Where was the Big Ten championship meet at?
that was at Indiana outdoors.
Okay. And about how many fans do you think were there, if you had a rough estimate?
I have no idea. Probably, I mean, definitely a couple thousand.
About like 5,000 or so.
I would say so. That sounds about right.
And was your family out there? Did you have any like friends from college or high school or anything?
Nah, nobody comes in or nobody came out to that one. That's a far journey for
Yeah, it
that kind of
is.
stuff.
That's such an awesome accomplishment though.
But again,
Yeah,
even
Brady,
that, I mean, obviously it was awesome, but my whole focus was like, the next meet after that and nationals and stuff like that. So that was where my head was at all year. And that's, like I said, same thing when I said, the high school coach, Mike Adams, you train to peak at the very end. So same thing in here. That's not supposed to be my peak. It's supposed to be, in a
what
month
was next to come.
Right.
So quick question. Whenever you ran your 400 meters, would you sprint the entire thing, or did you have a method where you go about 75 for the first 100, pick it up a little, just for people that never ran a 400?
Yeah, I mean, it's very different at that level in a sense of you're not full sprinting the entire time, right? So that's like what a 200 is. That's a full sprint the entire time. Now there's still, and it's all about practice. That's what you do to build up to this, is you work out and try to hit these certain times so you can just do it effortlessly. I can't talk in the race. So if I'm running a 400, I have to hit the 200 at a certain time, and that's what we train the entire year. And then you just finish out with whatever you have left, basically. So I'm not sprinting the whole time. I mean, I'm running. It's very fast comparatively.
Yeah.
I think my split it's like, I think I remember it was like 20.9 for the first 200, and then again you just the last 150 of the race, you just whatever you have left in there.
Yeah. What was the time you ran when you won the Big Ten title, if you remember?
It was 45.2.
Oh, 45. That's me. That's my 200.
You might be able to beat that nowadays. You're getting in shape, man.
I'm trying.
I see you working.
Yeah, we're out here putting in the work. Just trying. Every time I step on the track at Mansion, I just pretend I'm you. And I feel like I'm going so fast, and then I run a mile in 8 minutes and realize I'm not.
Hey, I don't think I could run a mile in 8 minutes.
That might have been your mile. So
yeah, I can't run a mile right now, so you're good.
So tell us, this is what I was leading into next, and you sort of talked on what the peak was the Olympic trials. The Big Ten championship was in May, I believe, of 2012.
Okay.
And then the Olympic trials were in June?
Yeah, I think like middle to or like end of June, but there were still nationals before that too.
Okay. So the Olympic trials was obviously your end goal. I mean, that was the top of your list.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know, if I was going to make it there or not.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I didn't really know how it worked at the time. I was 20 years old, so it was just like, hey, I qualified kind of thing.
That's awesome.
And
so you got to the Olympic trials, 2012, about a month after you won the Big Ten championship. So just tell us a little bit about that. That was out in Oregon. Like how nervous you were, how surreal. Like when you first got there, how did you feel? That you just landed and you're competing to be in the Olympics. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was definitely an experience. So it's Eugene, Oregon. It's literally called Tracktown, USA, which is super weird and unfamiliar because, again, like track is not like a high profile sport, right? So anywhere you go, it's football and basketball. But if you go there, they know every single thing about track. And I mean, they're so passionate about, just Oregon sports in general. Yeah. But then again, it's an insane, culture out there. And it's just definitely a weird feeling when people know you and you have no idea who they are. It's just because they're a fan of the sport. Again, because it's just such a, low profile sport. But yeah, I mean, it was a world of difference, out there compared to anywhere else in the country. It's crazy.
You were getting noticed?
Oh yeah, a ton. It was awesome.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was like such a weird, just such a weird feeling because, I mean, unless you're a fan of track, you don't know. I mean, why would you know a Penn State runner? You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Were you signing like autographs and stuff too?
I, well, we did that in at nationals. We signed a couple after a couple of our races, but there were a couple at Oregon that I did as well after the finals. So
that's so awesome. And did you get like interviewed and stuff a lot out there?
not a ton. And like, I mean, I went into it kind of, whatever happens, happens. I'm here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Just, enjoy the experience. Nobody expected anything farther than there was 3 rounds. So there's the prelims, the semis, and then the finals. So I wasn't supposed to make it past out of the prelims. And then you just ran to qualify.
Did you feel honestly that you could make the finals? I know everyone's confident before racing stuff, but also kind of be realistic. But so you knew that you could make the finals. It wasn't a shock to you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because I ran against all these guys, a lot of it was college, athletes in this.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the pros, the American pros that were, I've known about for forever, looked up to them and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was pretty confident. I knew I had to, again, I had better times in me. I didn't peak yet. So I just kept to the game plan and, did what I needed to do. And every round you just race to advance. Because it was three races in a row, 3 days in a row, which is not fun to do either. I mean, it takes a lot out of you. So it was the trials. I just did what I needed to make to the semis, and then the same thing to the finals. And then, I tried my best, but didn't go too well in the finals. But it is what it is.
So what did you place in the first run, which would have been the prelims, in your heat?
So it was top 3 from each heat, and then like maybe a couple next fastest, and then so I think I finished third each time, and it was like a comfortable one in a sense, like a comfortable race to where I did exactly what I need to do. You don't try to win those ones because there's no point. So I just made sure I was top 3, and then just to move on to the next round, and I did that again, for the semis, which was a little bit more serious because I mean, less people make it obviously to the final, so that was top 2, and then I got second in that one.
Wow.
And then the finals I got 8th.
Yeah. So that day, like, I mean, how was that day for you leading up to the finals? Like waking up knowing like I'm 45 seconds away from making the Olympics. Like,
yeah, it was definitely surreal. I mean, I didn't think about it then, obviously, because it's your mind's in a different spot, but looking back on it, it's pretty crazy to think about. I was almost there, but like I said, the whole experience is awesome, and seeing all the professional athletes that I ran against, and like I said, I've been watching for years, and I mean, Olympic champions and stuff like that were there, 2 of them. So it was definitely cool.
I was gonna say, did you get to talk to any like people that you watched growing up and like other like?
Yeah, after the fact, for sure. I mean, leading up to it, everybody was super serious because, again, everybody's focused on what they need to do, and this is how they make their money. So it was more so after the fact, but I mean, everybody's really cool. So
yeah, that's awesome.
You got all these trophies and records, Brady. I want to know if you have one personally that means the most to you, a win, an event, a milestone.
It's probably the Olympic trials, just making the finals of that. Again, it's all about like that high school race is like, they didn't expect me to do anything. They didn't expect me to win. So same thing with that, I wasn't supposed to make it past the first round, and then, wow, I should feel lucky to be, in the semis, don't be disappointed if you don't make it, and then, make the finals and so on. So that was definitely the most gratifying for sure. The worst part about it was, so I finished 8th out of 8 in the finals, but everybody who made the finals technically has to go act like they're making the Olympic team in a sense. So I had to go through and try on every single piece of clothing that they all get for free, just in case somebody got hurt and I made the team as an alternate.
Oh my!
So it was like an hour and a half of me trying on clothes that I knew I didn't get. That was the worst thing ever. So I knew, and it was the coolest shit. Like, and all the gear I could ever imagine. Like Oakley's, whatever you wanted. Like, it didn't matter, but I knew I wasn't getting any of it. So that was the downside of it.
That's terrible.
I did get an Olympic ring though. So technically, because I was an
Wow.
alternate, so like for 2012, I do have an Olympic ring, but
Wow.
I didn't go.
Yeah. So you were listed as an alternate.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome.
Do you put
Yeah.
that on like LinkedIn, like Olympic alternate?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't gotten me any traction anywhere. So,
Huge.
but I tried to
Yeah.
sneak it in there in every resume I can. So,
I sure would.
Hey, someday it'll catch someone's eye someday for sure.
yeah.
It's also just a side note. It's incredible hearing from you, like as someone that went to school with you and lives in the same town as you growing up and everything. Like around here, when you would go to race, we all expected you to win. Like, oh, Brady's gonna win. But it's awesome hearing from you, like when you went to New York and even like when you were in the Big Ten and then when you went to the trials, no one was expecting you to do what you did. So it's just so cool to hear that like you went through like people basically not like disrespecting you, but almost, oh,
No,
like you're good, but you're not, you're not at the
Right.
top level. And
Yeah,
we
there
all
was
just
definitely some
expected you.
disrespect. There was definitely some disrespect there, but that was like I said, that was my favorite part. It was, proving
That's
them wrong. So
yeah, it's so crazy that basically you were an underdog, but everyone here we looked at you as the top dog, because
right.
you just did things here that we've never,
Yeah, it's a
seen
different
and
world
just
outside of Altoona, Pennsylvania, that's for sure.
yeah, in all aspects of life. So
Right.
that's awesome.
Your parents were really good athletes growing up. Your siblings are really good athletes. You're a great athlete. Who are your influences and motivators? And like with your family, how do you guys have so much athletic success?
It's got the good genes, man. We got lucky.
I didn't want to put it all on genes, but that
I
is
mean,
interesting that like,
it is. I mean, it is
yeah,
what it is. But yeah, I mean, it was them. I mean, being again in Altoona, so everybody knows my mom, everybody knows my dad. Same thing because they, sports, right? So I heard that my whole life. What they did, how they did it, how good they were. And then again, watching all my siblings, same thing. So it just, there was no choice but for me to excel in something. So it was just, put your head down and work and get better at something, or else, you just weren't gonna, I guess, make a name. So
your dad wasn't like Tiger Woods's dad or Michael Jackson's dad, where it was.
Well, besides whenever he beat me a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll start with that.
Yeah. No. I mean, honestly, there was no pressure at all. I mean, with any of that stuff, they just obviously they wanted us to be good at whatever we were doing, but there wasn't any crazy pressure or anything like that. Again, they just they let it up to us, whatever sport we wanted to play. If we didn't want to play it, just make sure you work at whatever you're doing. That's kind of what we learned from them.
Got it.
Via watching them, and then my sister, who was also very good at track, she ran at Louisville, so that was like I had to top her. That was like the whole thing was always, and I let her know about it all the time. So
That's awesome. So after the trials, what was the plans after that? Did you go to Penn State for a junior year then in track or no?
for a semester,
Okay.
but my coach left that year. So after the trial,
I remember that. Yes.
yeah, my coach left and he went to Arkansas to coach.
Okay.
That's like where his family was and everything like that. So I tried to transfer down there as well, but Penn State did not let me. They blocked it, which is
Wow.
not supposed to be allowed unless you try to transfer to like another Big Ten school.
Yeah.
So that was a very frustrating process. But then, like I said, it ended up, they got a new coach. I wasn't happy with it. It wasn't good. I kind of just stopped caring at that point for, running there. And then I did go that first semester, and then that's when I left school.
Okay.
So
That's
then I moved. Yeah, then I moved to Ohio, and I was training. It's called Aspire Institute.
Mm-hmm.
That's like an Olympic training center out in Geneva. And I lived there for a year, and then the goal was to go pro and get sponsored. And then unfortunately, that is when my Achilles gave out on me. So that was the end of my running career.
And that was around age 21.
Yeah, it was. It was 2013. So I was 21.
Was that a painful experience?
Yeah, it sucked because I had no idea what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? That I had no backup plan, which is
I just meant the body injury, but then yeah, you have your whole life planned on your feet functioning and being able to do
right.
that. And then when it stops you, I'm sure you had to question a lot of a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of things.
Like I said, I had no idea. I had no backup plan, which you hear about that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but and it also hurt, real time in my
Mhm.
Achilles. That did not feel
Mhm.
good because I knew that was like a year, process of healing. So yeah, it sucked.
No
Yeah.
way around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you still play basketball, which that's good that you're able to do stuff like that. Do you still run? Do you
Never.
for a
And
hobby?
I don't want to ever again. I hate
Wow.
running. Yeah, I mean, I hate like I never was a distance runner, right? So like it's the worst thing ever in my mind. I hate, running for there's no running for enjoyment, but I still play basketball, so it's still a lot of fun. But
See, I
yeah, I'm
feel that
glad
way too.
my
I hate running, but I didn't compete for Olympic time, so I thought
Yeah.
there might be some enjoyment from that. I get
no,
it though. Some golfers are like, "Why am I good at this?" I don't love it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like what's his name? Brooks Koepka. You ever hear
That's
like his
right. Yeah.
interviews? He
Yeah.
hates golf, but he does it because he makes a ton of money. So I enjoyed competing and everything
Yep.
like that. I always hated practice, so that kind of
Yeah.
translates to to this right now where I'll never run just to run. No thanks.
Yeah.
We set some good times. It's not like you're hanging your hat on nothing.
Yeah, I'm not going after any of those records anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah. Who would you say like the best like competitor was that you went against?
Whew. That's actually tough. I mean,
'Cause
running. I mean, what's that?
there's probably so many, but almost like did you have a rival or anything in high
Well,
school or
it's funny going to this because I forgot to even kind of mention this. The guy that Florida took over me, right?
oh, yep.
One, he was a guy I beat at that 300-meter race.
Oh,
So also frustrating that they took him.
yeah.
And I made sure every single time I went up against him in college, I beat him. No, and it
That's
wasn't any race. It didn't matter. I made sure I was in it just to kind of throw it in their face again.
yeah,
But I mean, it wasn't like I liked him. He was cool, but it was just kind of a personal.
competitive drive. And did
Yeah.
you ever so you never lost against them?
Nope.
Wow. Just another thing of where you felt that they should have taken you, so you proved them wrong again. Just the pattern of all that your whole career is proven, you guys should have taken me, and then you go out and beat them every single time. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was definitely my mission in college. Anytime we went against Florida, I had to make sure I was in his race.
That's awesome. Um, just a couple more questions here for you. Would you ever consider coaching track, like being a track coach anywhere? If anyone reached out to you about it?
Maybe sometime later, but I mean, right now I can't do anything with my job. I'm just,
Yeah.
too consumed by it. But, maybe later on down the line, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't know if someone reached out to you was like, "Hey, we want you'll be a full-time track coach here at at a university or anything." Like that was something that you would ever maybe consider.
yeah, it would definitely have to be like later on because
Yeah,
I'm still to the point where it would like frustrate me knowing that I should still be running in a sense. So this
that's
would be like, 20 years from now, maybe I would think about or something like
yeah. I was gonna say, is it almost to how it all ended? Like, do you ever watch like track on TV anymore? Like the Olympics? Like, will you watch the Olympics if they happen this summer? Like the
that.
track
Yeah,
and field of it, or
I don't follow it at all anymore, really. I
yeah,
mean, I'll watch the Olympics just because it's the Olympics, but yeah, it's the
yeah,
same thing because it's more frustrating than anything
yeah,
because of exactly what you said, kind of how it ended. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty out of touch with it right now. But yeah, I'll always watch the Olympics just because it's the Olympics. So
Yeah. Cool. And then the last thing for me, just what's the biggest piece of advice you would give to any young athletes right now in any sport, in elementary or junior high? Because like you said, you didn't really get your big kickoff until about 10th grade. So kids that are still working, and have big dreams and stuff, what advice would you give to them?
just to I mean, listen to the coaches. That's like the biggest thing. They know what they're doing most of the time.
Yeah.
That's you just got to work hard and then results will come. And then again, you never know, right? So like I grew 5 inches in a year. So it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So anything can happen at any time. That wasn't until, 11th grade. So you never know. And then obviously, the work you did before then could, be multiplied based on something like that. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, that's all I got. We appreciate the time so much. You're the first interview we've done. You're going to be our February 2021 Local Athlete of the Month, which
Very
is a
cool.
new segment that I'm doing for my YouTube channel. So it means the world to have you on here. It was awesome hearing all these stories that I didn't even know about. We're pretty decent friends. So it was awesome to learn a lot of stuff about your track career.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yep. All right, man. We'll talk to you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Brady.
Sounds good. Yep.